The name of the book is called Heartfelt Connections. Ann Beall is the author of that book. It's all about the human-animal bond. And I want to start here, Ann. I think without the human-animal bond, there is nothing.
I think it actually makes us human. And I think the relationship that we have with animals is very different than the relationship we have with humans. There's obviously a degree of unconditional love in some ways that animals give to us. And in many cases, we actually found that animals are trying to help us, which is really interesting.
Explain that.
Well, in a lot of cases in this book, I found that when the caretaker was very sensitive to this animal, that they were able to find situations in which the animal could help either them or help other people. And so we went to pediatric intensive care units. We actually went to an autistic respite center. We went to visit with elderly people in a nursing home with a llama. And it was one of these things where the animals were truly interested in interacting with these different people. And in many cases, very interested in helping them, cheering them.
Now, I think most of us know that dogs and cats do this kind of work, but llamas? I mean, were you surprised? And there were a couple of pigs in your book. Amazing stories about those pigs. I mean, were you surprised at the effectiveness these animals, horses, other animals as well, can have, as opposed to just dogs and cats?
I was surprised at how effective these animals are. We actually went to visit with horses in South Carolina. We actually visited with Equestrian Connection here in Lake Forest, Illinois. And I was pretty amazed at how effective they are. I was also a little bit skeptical about this because I thought, well, these are probably trained animals. So they're probably just doing what it is that they're supposed to do. I found that wasn't the case at all. I found that the animals were very sensitive to the specific people they interacted with. They had very unique connections with some of the people that they interacted with. And I was overcome in some cases, quite emotional by what I saw. I mean, I saw children interacting with horses and riding horses and, doing things they couldn't imagine doing.
So I want to talk about that a little. So it's called hippotherapy, where you ride a horse and you could have any number of physical problems. And the therapy of riding the horse helps. I don't ride horses particularly effectively, not very good at it. But I do it very once in a while. It's hard to do, even in some ways. So I'm curious as to how that kind of works.
We actually don't know how it works or why it works. But if you've ever seen a developmentally disabled child ride a horse, or if you've ever seen someone who has arthritis or some type of issue, and in some cases, some of the people had issues where they would not speak, and they rode a horse. And after they got off the horse, they said words for the first time in years. We don't know why it works. We have no idea how. But what I saw was a woman very tentatively get on a horse, and she looked scared. And horses are big.
Yeah.
And she got on this horse, and she was very nervous. And you could see her going around this arena, and she was very nervous at first. And over time, she started to become less nervous. And then at the last time I saw her go around, she was smiling. It was a huge achievement for her. And she told me she felt better, and she didn't know why.
Is part of it the idea that you can control an animal that is so large? Or is it the physical therapy of riding itself? And I don't understand completely how that's therapy, because if you haven't ridden in a while, you hurt the next day.
Sure.
So I guess it depends on how far you go. But I mean, I'm just curious as to how we think it might work.
I think it's the connection between the animal and the human, and I think there's something that's being transmitted there. I think there is some degree of reassurance. I think there's some degree of feeling connected to a creature that you can't imagine having a connection to, and also doing something with that creature that you wouldn't imagine doing. When I was in South Carolina, I learned that several people would wander into these pastures with these horses, and a horse would approach them, a very specific horse who often had something in common with that person. It might have been some type of trauma. And often the horse would approach the person would feel this connection with the horse, and sometimes there would be tears, and the person couldn't explain why, but they felt better. So it's
pretty incredible. And you write about all sorts of animals, the connections we have with them, and all sorts of different programs that you rattled off. The name of the book is called Heartfelt Connections, How Animals and People Help One Another. By writing this book, I think you help. Ann Beall, thank you so much.
Thank you.